Happy Thursday, everybody. It is 7 o'clock here on the East Coast. Thank you guys so much for joining me this week. I have been missing in action for a couple of weeks, so I'm super glad that you're here with me again tonight. If you followed me at all last week, we were wrapping up the playground build for Swanee. So Swanee is in the middle of a completely new development. We have Swanee Town Center currently, but just across the street from Swanee Town Center is going to be an addition to Swanee Town Center. So if you cross over kind of behind the police station and behind the brewery there, Stillfire, you're going to see a lot of construction going on there. And that is going to be an addition to Swanee Town Center. There's going to be a couple of restaurants, volleyball court. But what I was personally working on was the new playground. So Swanee has always had Playtown Swanee, which was a community-built playground 20 years ago. And so, as you can imagine, over 20 years, the playground got a lot of play. So we actually had another volunteer build last week for 5 days straight. We had over 500 volunteers a day showing up to work on this playground. And I have to say, it was really amazing. I was really skeptical at first if we were going to have that many volunteers, but everybody showed up and showed out, and we got that thing knocked out. So I'm super excited. Stay tuned in the next couple of weeks because I'm actually going to be shooting a video on how that went and what you can expect from that playground and just from that whole addition to Swanee, because it's going to be a great one. But let's dive in. Thank you guys so much for joining tonight. Let me know any questions that you might have. We have officially hit 8% this week on interest rates. I feel like I should have a bell that we've rung to say that we've officially hit 8% because we've been talking about it for a while. So if you have questions, definitely drop them in the chat. I want to make sure that we're going over them. The whole reason that I do this to begin with is to make sure that you're getting educated. I feel like the news media as a whole just kind of gives so much information, some of it true, some of it possibly not. You can interpret it how you want, but there's definitely things that I can't wait to go over with you tonight. One of those things is going to be talking about, I hope your employer plans to give you a raise, all the way down to what you can expect. There's some new things in Gwinnett County that are popping off, and I feel like it's really important, especially if you're thinking about making the move here, that you know about these things that are up and coming. So without further ado, let's dive in. So let me just share my screen with you guys here. This article was a doozy. The U.S. housing market has gotten so expensive that income would have to jump 55% to make buying affordable. So if we're looking here, 55%, can you imagine? So, I have been an entrepreneur for the last 18 years. So I have not had to think about this on my end, but I do have people that work for me, assistants, and I've never given a 55% raise. That's, quite the raise there. So if your employer is looking at doing that, please, by all means, stay with them, because that means that you'll be able to buy a house very quickly. But I don't believe that most employers are looking at doing this. And this just goes to show, we've all been talking about inflation and just how far off we are with how expensive things have gotten. So looking at this, it hasn't been cheap to buy a house in decades, if ever, but the pandemic started a huge run up in prices as remote and hybrid work expanded the map for millions of Americans, many of them millennials entering peak home buying age. But 2022 shocked many of the 40 and under crowd as mortgage rates went from the 3% range to more than 7% in the blink of an eye, yet decades of underbuilding kept a floor under prices. Now a housing industry executive has put a figure on just how bad it's gotten. So that's one of the things that we've talked about on this channel for quite some time, is the fact that builders in 2008 to 2012, obviously that's kind of when we had the recession going on, and builders just kind of put a pause on building altogether. There were some builders that were building, but they were more building as you put a home under contract. They were not building what we call spec houses, where it's something that they have standing inventory waiting for you to walk in and say, okay, I can buy that and you can close in 30 days. They were not doing that because what had happened was they had overbuilt, and then when 2008 crash happened, they basically lost their butts in all of their standing inventory as well. That's where a lot of builders had to either go under, foreclosing on those properties because they had built too much too fast. They got a little ahead of themselves. So now the issue is we have not ever caught up. We've had a lot more people that are in the buying age, and builders have never stepped up their game, so to speak. And then when we had the COVID kind of free for all where everybody rushed to the market, builders just could not keep up. On the flip side of that, we've talked about the fact that we have over 40% of Americans own their homes outright. Well, when interest rates are going up at 8%, why in God's name, if you owned your home outright, would you choose to sell that home and then have to turn around and get something at 8%? The only people we are really seeing choosing to enter the market right now, selling their home, are people that are either A, being relocated, or they're turning around and maybe they're downsizing. That way they're buying in cash. They're not having to get a mortgage. So we have seen some of that. But as a whole, we're not seeing a ton of that turnover, which is kind of holding hostage, so to speak, some of those other homes that we usually are seeing enter the market. They're not entering the market because of those reasons. So with mortgage rates hitting a multi-decade high at 7.49%, obviously that's changed this week. Like I said, we just hit 8%. A vice president of data and analytics for years with real estate data firm Black Knight, yeah, we'll talk about that later, knows the mortgage market inside and out. And he says the incomes would have to increase a whopping 55% for the housing market to be considered affordable. That is one heck of a number. A 55% increase is a lot of money. So that being said, I don't see anybody getting that type of raise right now. And I think that there's going to have to be other things that happen to make the market more affordable. So if we look here at mortgage rates, I wanted to just show this to you guys because we were just talking about it. With mortgage rates, if we look at history here, it goes all the way back to 1975. They were at 9%. They hover around 8 and 9 for a while. Then in the 70s and 80s, the 80s was kind of the rough part, you guys. From 79 to about 86, we're over 10%. Over into the 1990, we're double digits. We're at 10%. So for a decade, we're double digits. Then they slowly come back to kind of a basic number. And when I say basic number, this is what was quote unquote the norm for many, many decades. 9, 8, 7. We dropped down to 6.9 in 98, then back up to 7, 8, dropped to 6. And this is where from 2001 on over is when you start to see them going down. So 2001 is really when we started to see a decline. But all of the decades before that, we had not seen interest rates come down into the sixes. So most people, when they saw it go to 6, were thinking, heck yeah, we finally, getting a little bit of a break here. But then as you see, they just continue to go down. Okay, but let's think about why. If we talk about, early 2000s, we had the whole situation with the .com, right? Like, do you guys remember? I don't know if some of you might not be old enough, but I remember being in school in 1999, and everybody told us that when the years rolled over to 2000 on the computers, that everything was just going to go to pot because the computers didn't know how to read it. Obviously, now in 2023, thinking about that, that's the stupidest thing we've ever heard, right? But at that time, we didn't know. And that just goes to show you in a 20-year period how much things have changed. Computers now we know are far smarter than half of us. So, the scary thing is we thought that. So we had the .com thing going on in 2000, and that's when we started to see things really shift. And then if you go back and we take a look, just look a little bit closer here. If you look over here 2008, 2009. Well, what happened in 2008? We crashed. So to stir the market up, we went down to 5%, 4%, 4%, 3%. We keep going down, dipped up for a minute in 2014 because the market didn't really hit the bottom. A lot of people say the crash of 2008. Yeah, that's when it started. But if you do some research, we did not hit bottom until 2012. 2012 was a rough year. That's when you started to see the majority of homes being foreclosed on. That's when you started to see people losing everything that they had, worked for and built. So 2012 was really that year that we saw bottom hit. And so if you look there, that's when interest rates went down 3.66%. Then they started to creep back up for a little bit. We even went up to 4.5% here. And then what happened? COVID. And then we dropped again, stirring the market because COVID hit. We wanted to push people back into the market after, COVID. Everybody had kind of paused. People weren't buying because they were in their houses. We couldn't go out. And so they dropped interest rates to kind of stir the market, push people back out into the market to start buying again. And now look where we are. We've gone up to 8% in just a 2-year period. That is a drastic increase. I don't really think if you look at this, 30-year fixed rate mortgage trend, we've not had that much of an increase in that short of a time in that 30 years. So I think that's really what the shocker is. As far as people, when they're talking about, how quickly things changed and how quickly things went a different direction, it's because interest rates changed so quickly. I think if this had happened over the course of years, like we've seen in the past that I just showed you, I don't think people would be as shell shocked. But unfortunately, it was a massive increase. And the Fed has told us over and over, his goal at all costs is to get inflation under control. And the problem is, and I'm not getting political here, everybody has their own beliefs. These are facts, right? So you take your political belief wherever it is. These are facts. He has said he's going to get interest rates and not interest rates, I apologize. He's going to get inflation down no matter the cost. And so far as he's continued to raise interest rates, the economy and the people have taken it on the chin. We've continued spending. We've continued buying. So we'll sit there and complain, but we're going to continue spending. So his point is, at what point does it hurt enough that you're going to pull back? What point do you feel the pain? And then maybe he'll pause. So it's funny, the last couple of months, we've seen some pauses from the Fed. We haven't had interest rate hikes. Now we have. What is it going to look like for the months coming up? That's going to be an interesting one. So let's take a look here. I find this article interesting just for the simple fact it's talking about what experts project for home prices over the next 5 years, because keep in mind, interest rates have continued to rise, but yet this is still an increase. So they're saying next year we could most likely see a little bit of a slip. This year so far, we've risen at about 3.32%, which a lot of people, myself included, if I'm honest, earlier this year, I really felt like we were not going to see a huge increase in pricing this year. I kind of felt like we would just be at a plateaued level, for the simple fact that interest rates were going up. And so I felt like that would kind of balance things out, right? If interest rates continue to increase, then maybe pricing is just going to be stable, but it's continued to rise at about 3.32%. Now, there are some areas throughout the US that we have seen a reduction throughout the year this year. Fortunately, Georgia was not one of those locations. However, next year, we could see a little bit of a dip, 2.17%. But the point is, that's still an increase. That's not a decrease, which I think a lot of people are waiting to happen. And then 2025 going up 3%, 2026 going up 3%, 2027 going up 4.18%. Now, the truth is, this is a forecast. Nobody can tell you what exactly is going to happen in each of these years, right? Nobody could have predicted I know everybody will have their own comments, but um, nobody could have predicted what happened in 2020 as far as the market pausing and then sales increasing in real estate the way that they did in 2020 and 2021. I know I certainly did not. And that was my uh, 16th year in real estate. And I had never seen anything like that. Going through 2008 to 2012 was interesting in itself. And this was almost the complete opposite of that. You know, we were having such an increase in purchasing. So looking at these numbers, if you're someone who was worried home prices would fall because of stories you've read online, here's the big takeaway. Even though home prices vary by local market, experts project prices will continue to rise across the country for years to come. So, what does this mean? Well, if we're looking at 2023, and a home is worth $400,000, if you were to buy it in 2028, you're now having to spend $71,000 more than if you would have purchased it in 2023. The question there always is going to be for me, well, what are interest rates going to be at that time? So if you do the math on this though, you have to think about the fact of, is there going to be $70,000 difference if you're looking at the interest rate? If you bought it now at 8% by 2028, would you have paid $70,000 in interest to then, kind of make that make sense? And the answer most of the time is no. And what I try to tell people when they're like, should I buy? I'm never going to tell you you should or should not buy. That is a personal decision that you have to think about and look at. It has to make sense for you. If you're in a stable situation and you think that now is a good time to buy for you, I'm not Barbra Cochran. I'm not going to sit here and get on a pedestal and say that it's time to buy. I am going to say that you have to look at interest rates historically. And if we are at 8% and we maybe go to 8.5%, 9%, and then it starts to taper off, could you refinance and make that make sense for you? Something that a lot of people don't take into consideration is the fact that you typically don't stay in a home for the full 30 years of your loan that you have. So most people get a 30-year fixed loan. If you stayed in the home for that entire time, yes, you would have paid an astronomical amount of interest. Most people don't do that. Most people move between 5 to 7 years. They are saying that right now it's a little bit higher at about 10 years. But even so, looking at 10 years, somewhere in there, you're probably going to have refinanced into a lower interest rate, which is going to change what that forecast looks like. So, is it truly 71,000 from 2023 to 2028? We won't know. We'll have to see what happens over the next couple of years. But the good thing is, let's hope the Biden administration has unveiled a plan to increase home ownership. It benefits low to middle income families that are looking to build generational wealth. So this article, it has not been passed yet. It has not gone through Congress yet, or been passed by Congress yet, I should say. It's been something that they have brought up because a lot of people are saying, oh, well, we might as well rent. A lot of people, that is not their ultimate goal, because people take into consideration the way that a lot of people have built multi-generational wealth, not just their generation, but multiple generations, is by having land, is by having properties. And if you're not getting into that, if you're renting your entire life and you're not ever having a property that is yours, that you're then able to be getting the equity from, you're getting the gains of year over year rises. There are people that took the 2008 hit. They stayed in their home because thankfully they were not upside down in it. And they've made every penny back that they lost in 2008. Plus, they've made a ton of money over top of what they lost and then gained back. So that's how you create generational wealth. That's how, when you get into your 70s or 80s, you're able to afford going into an assisted living, because you take the property that you had. Hopefully by that time you have paid it down, or maybe even paid it off. Like I said, we've got 41% of America today that owns their home outright. And so if you're then 70, 75, 80, 85, however, and you need to go into an assisted living, you need to go into a memory care facility, they're not cheap. They're not cheap at all. I have a family member in one right now, and we're paying well over $4,000 a month for care, round the clock care. So it is not cheap at all to have that. And so you have to have a plan in place to care for yourself when you're older. And real estate is a fantastic option for that, because you then sell the home. The equity that you get from the home is now what you're going to have in the bank to be taking care of that. And how do you get that generational wealth if you can't afford to even purchase your first home? That is something that is a problem. So, looking at this, the Biden administration is seeking ways to help families make that happen with a number of new initiatives for first-time homebuyers. The Neighborhood Homes Tax Credit offers down payment assistance. So, let's look at the down payment assistance for select first-time home buyers. The program is designed to create a path to home ownership for first-generation or low-wealth buyers whose parents have never owned a home either. So that's where it gets tricky. They're cutting out a lot of the population that are first-time home buyers. So you're being punished because your parents owned a home. So, there's going to be a lot of people that are for this. I definitely think they're going in the right direction of trying to offer something to be able to help home buyers. Affordable housing is not a thing right now. I don't care what anyone's telling you. However, I don't feel like this is the right way to go about it. I don't feel like they should be targeting specific first-time home buyers. It should be all first-time home buyers. If you want to get into the market, who are they to pick and choose? Who is going to get those funds? So the Neighborhood Homes Tax Credit has not yet been signed by Congress. If it does pass, it will allocate $16 billion in funding to build or rehabilitate 400,000 new homes across the U.S. So basically, they are trying to really make sure that building is coming back, building is being pushed, that they're kind of backing the builders, so to speak, in order to get new options going out. Is that going to happen? I don't know. We'll see. I will say that one of the new things that I just saw last week, actually, in Sugar Hill, and if you guys are familiar with Sugar Hill, it's right on this outskirts of Swanee. There's some areas where sometimes you can't even realize where you are because Swanee and Sugar Hill just kind of run together. But over the last few years, Sugar Hill has been doing a really amazing job of renovating their downtown, or just really implementing their downtown, so to speak. They have the amphitheater there. They've got some new restaurants that are coming in, and they've done a lot of new build. So one of the things that they just passed last week, and I want to show you guys the location here. Hold on, let me pull this. So right here, my favorite restaurant here, Rushing Trading Company. Shout out to them. If you guys ever come visit Sugar Hill, go visit Rushing Trading Company because they're absolutely amazing. I would tell you to get the chicken salad sandwich, but you get what you want. Then you've got the bowl at Sugar Hill here. This is Highway 20, and then this is Peachtree Industrial Boulevard here to kind of give you some context. So right here in this area is where you're going to have a new build, and it is actually going to be tiny homes. So this is something new that we have not seen. If you keep up with the suburbs of Atlanta at all, most of the suburbs of Atlanta do not allow for the building of tiny homes. And so Sugar Hill is one of the first in the area. The only other tiny home communities that I have personally seen in Georgia are further north. So if you go up to Lake Burton, they do have a tiny home community there that is absolutely gorgeous. It steps from the water, and it is truly an amazing location. But you're an hour and a half from Swanee. So you're what? 2.5 hours from the city of Atlanta. So that's not really an option if you're still needing to commute or even, be close to schools and things like that, because Lake Burton is definitely further north into the North Georgia mountains. The other place that we have seen it happen is down in Peachtree City. So it's exciting to see what's going to happen here with this in Sugar Hill. It's brand new. Sugar Hill is really trying to work on affordable options for seniors. They're trying to work on affordable options for the new homebuyers, the millennials that are, flooding the markets right now. So they don't even have any photos up yet of what this is going to look like. But from what my understanding was, because they just talked about this in the city council meeting the other day, this is going to be like cottages, little cottages, if you could think of that. I'll try and post a picture later. They did post a picture of what it could possibly look like. They're not saying exact, but it is going to be interesting to see. And like I said, it's going to be walkable. I'm sitting here looking at it, not sharing my screen. Hold, please. There we go. Right here. Very walkable to the downtown area. This is Level Creek Road. And so this comes in West Broad. This is all where downtown Sugar Hill is. The bowl is right back here. And then this is where all of the new construction is, as far as they had a ton of new townhomes that are coming in. They've already built the apartments and condos. So it's going to definitely be interesting to see what comes up. I've got some other things I want to go over with you guys, but first, let's check out some of these questions. Blue Sky's best real estate agent out there. Thank you. Let's see. Is that Woodstock behind you? I wish it was, Chuck. I really do. But it is cold outside today. It is very cold outside. So I'm actually in the warmth of my office. I actually was in Woodstock, Chuck, the other day and thought about you because I went and ate at the Century House in downtown Woodstock, had one of the most amazing things that I've ever had, although I have to admit, I would not have ordered it. I dragged my mother along with me. She hasn't been to the Century House, and I took her with me, and they have bacon collard green egg rolls. And I thought, there's no way. And she got them anyways. And so, of course, I had to try it. Probably one of the most amazing things I've ever had. And I can't stop thinking about them. Sorry to veer off track, but Chuck, you made me think about that, talking about Woodstock. Anthony, oh my God, not Y2K, right? That was us. We were in that. My mom bought jugs of water from the store and a generator to prepare. Nothing happened, of course. And she made us drink that acid water. Oh my God. That's fantastic, Anthony. I was right there with you. I think, we were even nervous, like, are we going to be able to go to school? What's going to happen? Are our computers going to blow up? Are they just not going to work? It was a whole situation. And like you said, absolutely nothing ended up happening. So, I don't know. There's always something that's going on. They try to tell us to prepare for. I will say, though, if they tell you to prepare for snow here in Georgia, you will lose all of the water and bread. So you should definitely prepare for that. Betty Ayers, yes, she is the best. You guys are just blowing me up tonight with making me feel good. I appreciate it. Charles, are you going to find me a house? Absolutely. We're definitely going to find you a house. You've got to decide, are you buying or are you building? Because that barndominium is sounding pretty good. I like the barndominium thoughts there. So I definitely want to share with you guys some other things that are popping off in Gwinnett County specifically. So going back, this is talking about Sugar Hill again. I just wanted to make sure that you guys, this is not specifically talking about the project that I was just referencing with the cottages, but this is talking about last year this was passed, and this is just kind of going over more of what they're planning to do. And a lot of this is already happening. So there's a 306 unit project that's right off of Highway 20 near Sugar Hill. And that's going to have more apartments. It's going to have the townhomes that I talked about. There are going to be some really nice townhomes that are going up. It's a mixed use of 2-story townhomes and then some traditional rental units. And then they're going to have on-site perks, co-working spaces, resort-style pool with a sun shelf, club room, yoga room in the park, in the gym, dog park, spa. So there is a lot popping off here in Sugar Hill. Sugar Hill has kind of always been a very suburban area. Even when Swanee was starting to build up their downtown, Sugar Hill stayed a suburban area. Recently, though, they have just been on the run. They have been building that downtown. They have the awesome amphitheater where you're constantly seeing people. And these aren't just like, local people. These are like major players that we've had come and visit at the bowl over there. So make sure that you're looking at that because it's a really fun place to check out. And I meant to pull it up, but I'm going to tell you guys, I just saw Real Taco is coming to downtown Sugar Hill. And I am one that is super excited about that. Love me some tacos. So I'm very, very excited to check that out. So this is something else that we've just heard about. Ride Gwinnett's newest route is to include connections in Suwannee and Beaufort. So for quite a long time, the transit did not come all the way out to these areas. And so that's something beginning Monday, November 20th, Route 50 will provide service from the Sugarloaf Mills Park and Ride in Lawrenceville through downtown Suwannee with connections to the Mall of Georgia and the Exchange at Gwinnett and Beaufort, as well as Coolray Field in Lawrenceville. So that's something that if you are looking for transit, you're going to now have some additional. I've had a lot of people that are super excited about this, and I've had others that are absolutely so angry about it. You can never please everybody. So just understand that Gwinnett is a place that is a building place. We are a very diverse county in Gwinnett. If you're not looking for that, Gwinnett probably isn't the place for you, and that's okay. There is a place for everybody. You can move to a county that isn't going to have transit if that's what you're looking for. There truly is no way to please everybody with everything that's going on, but just know that Gwinnett specifically is the second largest county in the entire state of Georgia. So it's one that is attracting a lot of people and is going to continue to grow. You choose the lifestyle that's best for you. Let's get back to questions. Betty Ayers, I have considered Woodstock. You should. Woodstock is one of the most adorable towns that we have around the area. Their downtown is absolutely adorable, probably one of my favorites. I like the fact that it has old historical charm. They still have the train station that was there at the very original build of Woodstock when they first started developing it. And it was a train station that, was a big part of the railroad. So I love the fact that they still have that there. I like the fact that there are still land opportunities. So there's a lot of suburbs that have been built there. Obviously, the area of Town Lake is a really, really popular one. But they do still have opportunities for land around the area if that's something that you're still interested in. Or I know some people are like, I really just don't want to be in an HOA. Woodstock would be a fantastic option for you. So we're also seeing a lot of people looking at Canton, which is just above Woodstock. And then if you're really wanting to get a little bit more rural and not have a Starbucks on every corner, you can look at Ball Ground, which is just above Canton. Charles, my father-in-law lives there. Betty and I love it there. You should come on. Come. Let's find this house. So, do you like Ips? Yes, absolutely I do. I haven't found anything there that I don't like. I have to say that after we left Century the other day, we actually walked across the street. If you cross the railroad and then cross Main Street, there is a pie place where they make individual pies. And I know Duluth has one, and also Alpharetta used to have one, but I believe it closed. But the one in Duluth is owned by a different person, but they make individual pies, and then you can actually buy it by the slice. And I went in thinking I was just going to look at it and get some ideas. However, I ended up walking out with 4 different flavors. I got pumpkin, cherry, apple, and key lime. So, I took it a little too far, but I felt like, I could be nice and bring them home to my family and share and see what everybody likes. So it was fantastic. There's really nothing to dislike about Woodstock. It's adorable. It does have a lot of shops. Like I said, I love the character. And if you watched my video on Woodstock, there's a place there called Mercantile, and it is the most amazing place. I don't know why other micro cities don't have them. If you're paying attention, we're seeing a lot more micro cities come up Cumming is definitely building theirs with the Cumming City Center. Swanee's, constantly building. Sugar Hill is still developing. Duluth just added some more to theirs. So we're seeing these micro cities popping up everywhere. And I think it's really just trying to have more of the urban vibe in the suburbs so that you're not having to always go into the city of Atlanta for everything that you need, those restaurants, and just having a little bit more urban housing in the suburbs to compensate for the fact that, like we've talked about, there's no affordable housing. So everybody doesn't want to have to live in the city for affordable housing, and the city isn't really affordable anymore. So if you looked at the video on Woodstock, definitely go check out that mercantile. It was very, very interesting. I had not seen anything like that in any of the other cities that I have done videos on. So definitely check that out. But I appreciate you guys so much being here tonight. I cannot wait to catch up with you in a couple of weeks. I will definitely be keeping you up to date. If you have any questions in the meantime, go ahead. My information is below. You can reach out. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of the week, and I'll talk to you soon.